Welcome to X1T Gaming, and together we're going to revolutionize the gaming industry. So, sorry I'm a little bit late today. I had some technical difficulties with the computer, trying to get it all figured out and sorted out, and I got it sorted out. Not in the way that I wanted to, but I got it working, I think. And yes, so we're just waiting for my project to come on up, and so we're going to finish this lesson. And what's the first one? So we're going to create title, text, and menu buttons. Okay, so this is going to look good. We're going to duplicate the game over text to create your title text, editing its name, text, and its attributes. Duplicate your restart button, editing its attributes to create an easy button. Edit and duplicate the easy button to create a medium button and a hard button. Okay, so we got this up, and we are going to be watching the show. Hopefully I'm not going to be streaming. Okay, I got it figured out. Didn't want to stream my face like I did yesterday. I know I'm good looking, but we want to learn, right?
Now, we just need to add a few more UI elements to our game. So we've made it so we can restart our game, but we want to be able to set the difficulty for our players. To do that, we'll actually just duplicate some of our text and our buttons, so our game over text, since our title will be in the same place. If we select our game over text and duplicate with Control D, we have game over text again. We'll set this to active, and I'm going to rename the text to be our title text. And then we don't want our text to be the same as our game over, because that would be really confusing. So what we'll do is we'll change our text and we'll come up with a clever title. So I'm going to call this Clicky Crates. Now, I don't want it to be red, so I'm going to change that and we'll make it the exact opposite color. So that'll be, let's see, maybe a greenish, maybe a bluish. Ooh, I like that blue. That one looks good. Maybe a little darker. There you go. Cool. So now we have our clicky crates. Now what we also need to do is make some more buttons. So we'll actually take our restart button and we'll duplicate this. And we'll set this back to active so we can see it. Now our restart button, this one will be our easy button, because we definitely want to start easy first. And then we go into our easy button by expanding. We'll change our text because we want to make sure that we know it's easy mode. Easy. Now our button is definitely a little bit too large, so we'll actually change the width to make it a bit smaller. So I'll make it something like, yeah, something like that. I'll make this a nice round number so it's easier. So 115, cool. And then we'll reposition this. So let's see if I move it not on the Y. In fact, I want it to move on the X. So if we move easy over to about there, cool. And then
I'm just going to do the.
let's see. So we want to do the same thing. We'll make a medium difficulty button. So we'll duplicate that. That time I just right-click duplicated. Call this medium button. We want to rechange, do the same thing. We'll Control D, Command D to duplicate. So this will be our hard button for hard mode. And then, let's see, our easy button was about -115. So to get some good symmetry going, we'll make this position 115. Cool. Now it's all even. And then last but not least, we change the text on our hard button to be hard. And now we have a hard mode. So now it makes it a lot easier for the players to see what buttons to press. They don't really do anything right now, but it certainly looks really good. So what you're going to do is you're going to create your own title text and your 3 difficulty buttons. So what you can do is just go right-click over Game Over Text, duplicate, and then make sure you rename that to the title so that way you know the difference between the two. You can do the same thing with the restart button. to make each of your different buttons. Make sure you set them all to active so you can see them back on your scene, rename them, reposition them, and make it look really nice. Now it's your turn.
Boom. So we did all that. Mark step as complete. Clicky balls. Sorry for my humor. Not sorry. Okay, add difficulty. For all three buttons in the button component on the click section, click the minus button to remove the restart functionality. Create a new difficult button script and attach it to all three buttons. Okay, so what they want us to do is we want to get rid of the script. There's a script here. Oh, I think it's here somewhere. Okay, we want to get rid of the script, which I think is the game manager one. So click section and click the minus button to remove the restart game functionality. So we want to go boom on this and on this and on this because we don't want to restart the game. And then we're going to create a new script. Call it the default button. Let's close these up, make it a little bit nicer. So we want to go scripts, create new, and we're calling this one the difficult button. And let's open that one up. The difficult button. So we want to add the using Unity Engine engine.ui, and then in the void or in the private we're doing private button and in the void going button equals get component, and it's going to equal button. Close this off and do that, and then we save, and then we want to put these on our text. Easy button, put this on the medium button, put this on the hard button. We press play. And yeah, it doesn't do anything. Oh. Okay, so what I think that did is because of this, we have a difficult button. So we're going to make it different stuff. Let's just mark that as complete for now. Might have to go back. Call set buff difficulty on button click. So create a new void set difficulty function, and inside the debug log game and a button listener to call the set difficulty. Oh, excuse me. Okay, I think we're going to have to watch this one.
On each of our buttons, we've now applied scripts to them, and now we actually want to use a method so that way our buttons know what to do. Now, in our difficulty button script, we're going to create a new method. This one we'll just make private, so we'll just say void set difficulty, because I don't believe we'll need this later. We'll just need it inside of this class. And then for set difficulty, we're just going to test and see if it works for now using a debug.log method. So that way we can print out to our console in Unity. And we're actually going to get the button.gameObject.name. So this will give us the name of our button. And then we'll use a literal string to say was clicked. So then when we press one of the buttons, for example, it should say easy button was clicked. And then one thing we do need to do is we actually need to use this method to see when a button was clicked. So we can actually say button. Now, similar to what we had with the restart button, where it had an onClick method to listen for when the button was clicked by the mouse, we can actually use that in code. So we can actually use onClick. So when the button is clicked, we need our game to listen, to pay attention to when it's actually been clicked. So in this case, in programming, we call this adding a listener. So that way it pays attention for when a certain event has happened. In this case, a click event. And then we can just use a method to pass into our listener. So we can actually just use our set difficulty. So when our button is clicked, then it will go into the set difficulty method. And then we should see which button was clicked. So if we test this out in Unity, I happen to already have my console window as a tab here, so we'll keep this open. If I press play and I click the easy button was clicked. Hard button was clicked. Medium button was clicked. Awesome. So we know that our listeners were set up properly. So what you're going to do is you're going to create your own private method.
Okay, that looks good. Yeah, so it's interesting using debug log for stuff to make it work. Oh, I gotta log in to be able to mark all this stuff complete. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, talking about the debug log, just trying to figure out how it works. Like I said, it says in the bottom right here, hard button was clicked, which is pretty nice. And now I'm having problems with Google Chrome. One of those days. Everybody knows because everybody's had one of those days. So what do we do at one of those days is we just scream and break the keyboard, throw stuff at the computer. Okay, and we're back. Now let's see if I can find a video. I just have everything just kind of going cray-cray on me. Cray-cray. Okay, am I marked in? Logged in? There we go. There we go. Marcus, step is complete. Yeah, you guys don't even know what's going on. You just see my face being like, what's going on? Okay, so we got 4, 5, 6, and that's it. So I think we'll finish up for today. We will finish it. Oh, we'll see how big. Make your button start the game. Okay, so we go to the game manager, is active. Oh, he got a public void for start game. Interesting. So the game manager create a new public void start game function and move everything from start into it. In difficulty button, create a new private game manager, and initialize it in the start. In the set difficulty function, call game manager dot game start. Okay, so let's see if we can do this just reading the code that he's got for us. So we go here and we want to go start in the game manager. So all this stuff that we have for starting it, we want to cut it out. And we want to start a new, right here, a new, is it public or is it private? It's a public void start game. I'm going to put all this in there. So what we're going to do, and then have this, we're going to put it start game. Start game. Boom. So, oh, oops, wrong one. Oopsie daisy. We want it right there. Okay, so we got all that in the start menu. Now we want to save, and now we want to go to the difficult buttons and make a new private game manager. And we're going to call this game manager. Keep it consistent. Now in the start, we want game manager equals game object dot find game object dot find, and we want to find the thing called game manager, and then we want to call it dot get component. We want to get the component game manager. Okay, so at the start, we're going to have the game manager get all that. And then in the difficulty setting, we're going to go game manager dot start game. Start game. So what this should do is that every time we click our start button, our easy, medium, hard. So no balls should be picking up because we didn't click it yet. Oh, the balls are clicking up. That's not making sense. Set difficulty, okay, void. Boom. Okay, game manager, start game. Work backwards from where we got the thing. Okay. Okay. Then we want all this. Okay, no, I don't think we want this. Okay, now we go. Press play. We don't see any balls. We go easiest clicked. Store started. And we got all this. Nice. Nice. Okay. Let's do that again for medium. That one worked. And then hard should work as well. Sir. Oh, I can't. Press restart. Okay, so now we're probably going to make those things disappear when it happens. So right click on Canva and create empty object, rename it title screen. and drag the 3 buttons and title into it. Okay, in Game Manager, create a new public object game title screen. In Start Game, deactivate the title. Oh, naruhodo. Okay, so we're going to create an object, empty object, call this title screen, right? And then we're going to put all of these things into the title screen, right? Yeah, and then we want to add into Game Manager. I'm going to have a public game object. Public game object, call it title screen. And then in the start game, we're going to have title screen dot game object dot set active is going to be false. And we want to save this. Okay. Now when we click one of these things, go hard. Game freezes. Why? Why? Okay, let's watch the video.
Our game is so close to being done. If we play our game, you see now none of these boxes spawn anymore. But then when we click one of the difficulties, then our boxes start spawning. But the problem is they don't go away when the game's over or even when the game starts. So we're going to have to fix that. Now we could do something similar to how we handled our game over text and our restart button. But honestly, I'm pretty lazy and I don't want to just turn all of these buttons and text off individually. And then I have to turn them on again, and it's a whole thing. So we can actually cheat a little bit and we can use a really nice little tip. So if we right click on canvas, we're going to create a new empty object. And I'm going to rename our game object title screen because this will be where we store all of the different objects related to the title screen. And in fact, if I select all of the different text and buttons for the title, so I can select my title text, shift click down to the hard button, left click and drag into the title screen. Now they're all nested underneath the title screen. In fact, I can do something super useful and easy. If I disable the title screen game object, all of the objects underneath it actually disable too. So with this handy little trick, I can turn off and on our title screen whenever I need to. In our game manager...
Okay, I figured it out. I forgot to put it right there. It's like, I feel like maybe I gotta put something somewhere. Okay, last one. Okay, use a parameter to change difficulty. In difficulty, change a new public and difficulty variable. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so we'll just watch this one. It's only a few minutes.
So our game is just about there. We have our title screen. We can click on one of the buttons. We have all of these objects that spawn. We lose the game. We can restart, reload our scene, we get our title screen again. The last thing we need to do is actually make these difficulty buttons work, so then our players can have a little bit of fun. In our code, in our difficulty button script, we're going to create a public variable, so this will be an integer, since we're just looking for whole numbers, and we'll call it difficulty. Now, in Unity, if we go to each of our buttons, and we scroll down, you can see that the difficulty variable can be set. So for easy, we'll make the difficulty 1. For medium, we'll set the difficulty to 2. And for hard, we'll set the difficulty to 3. Now, because each of these different buttons all control their own variables, it'll be really easy to use them. In our game manager script, we should go down to start game, since that's what the difficulty buttons are using. And we'll actually pass in an int difficulty parameter so that it will use this integer. And then, lucky for us, because we actually made a spawn rate before, we can actually now use that variable that we thought of before to control our difficulty. So if we set our spawn rate, and in this case, we want our spawns to happen faster, so we'll divide spawn rate by the difficulty that's passed in from our buttons. So when we pass in our difficulty from our buttons, for example, our easy button, our spawn rate here, which is currently set to 1 second, will be divided by our easy difficulty, which is 1. So 1 divided by 1 means our spawn rate will stay at 1. If we pass in our medium button, then our difficulty becomes 2. So it'll be 1 divided by 2, which is half, or 0.5 seconds. And if we use our hard difficulty, it'll be divided by 3. So 1 divided by 3 is 1/3, or 0.33 seconds. If you remember, there's one little bit of cleaner code that we can write. So this is pretty redundant right here. In fact, we can use the same style of operator that we used for adding and multiplying values that we were trying to multiply themselves against other things. So if we do spawn rate / equals difficulty, this means spawn rate is set to spawn rate divided by our difficulty. Make sure we save that. And now, in our difficulty button script, start game is a little annoyed with us, so we'll pass in our difficulty variable. So whenever one of the different buttons is pressed, it'll send in that difficulty to start game, send that information to our game manager, which will then use that updated spawn rate to spawn enemies faster or slower. So now we're really communicating between the different scripts that we've written, very similar to how we were learning how to use methods and parameters before. If I save this, and now in Unity, when I go to my game, in this case, I will select the Maximize on Play button on my game window. So when I press play, our game goes full screen. If I press one of the buttons, so easy,
Okay, so we are actually done Unit 5. So that is pretty exciting. Yeah, so I'm going to be using this for my potato counter, trying to get my potato counter all done. I'm trying to reset the score so that it resets between each level rather than resets between Yeah, no, I just thought that maybe I should make one of these buttons for each one, which would be like start round or something like that, and just have the same one, and then maybe every time that is clicked, we'll try to refresh it. But yeah, that's it for today. I'll play with my coding tomorrow, not live, and then we'll see what's going on. I'll try to get as much as I can of my game and show it to you guys. And then we will be doing this challenge. So you guys are going to see me do my like this look a lot. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't have any sounds or grunts or anything like that. But yeah, so we got challenge 5. And the whole point of this one is, so challenge overview. Put your user interface skills to the test with this whack-a-mole like challenge in which you have to get all the food that pops up on a grid while avoiding the skulls. You will have debug buttons, mouse clicks, score tracking, restart sequences, and difficulty setting to get the bottom of this one. And so after that one is done, we have a lab and then a quiz. I'm a little bit nervous for my quiz 5 simply because it might be one of those quizzes that you need like 11 to pass, like 10 out of 11 to pass. And I did pretty bad on my last one. But yeah, anyways, I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully this time at 9 exactly without technical difficulties. But we'll see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You guys have a good one.